Okay, so Dr. Sarah Khalid is saying coding, when she hears the word coding, she understands difficult concepts like software. Dr. Mona is saying writing to design a website. Yes, that is one of the applications of coding. When we are designing a website, we do, code. Dr. Tahreem Zulfikar is saying when you enter a code, it manifests as an action. Okay, that is also correct. If anybody would like to give me a more simpler answer. Okay, so Dr. Tahrim is saying had an experience with scratch coding. That is wonderful. Dr. Mona is saying she used designing an LLM. Okay, that's wonderful. Dr. Najia Sajjad is saying creating software with the help of instructions. That is also correct. Uh, Anyone else? Just a few more. Coding is software language. Yes. So I think I'm going to share my presentation with you all and formally begin this session. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? I believe yes, Dr. Komal. Thank you for the thumbs up. Okay, so before we move on to what is coding, let's get some, confusions out of the way and demystify coding and talk about what coding is not. I remember my first time when I heard the word coding was when I was watching a documentary on Bill Gates, and he was saying how he sat for 36 hours and used to code and how he used developed Microsoft. Also, one of my initial encounters with coding was when I was watching, Mark Zuckerberg talk and how he coded to create this amazing software that we now know as Facebook. So initially what propped up in my mind was like, these are geniuses, and that is something that they can do and we cannot do. It's something very complex, it's something very, unique, and it requires a very unique skill set that most of us do not possess, but that is completely false. Now in today's world, coding is not only for geniuses or for math whizzes or for any, complex minds. It is not boring and it is not scary. Okay, and now that we have that out of the way, we can talk about what is coding. So some of you did answer it correctly, and coding basically is, a way to give clear instructions to a computer. You know, it is a means to communicate with the computer, thereby expressing our ideas and together solving problems, us and the computer. And some of you said that coding is a language. So yes, it is a language, and we call it a programming language in simpler terms. So why code? Why do we code? That is also something that some of you wrote in the chat. Coding has everyday applications. It is also a life skill, and people, there are a lot of real world stories of people using coding to achieve, some really remarkable goals. So among the everyday applications of coding include automating small tasks. For example, instead of, having to compute math problems in our minds, cognitively, we can use a calculator, and that is why we have calculators on our phones. And that was achieved by programming and coding to create an application that helps simplify tasks for us, to automate tasks for us, and and thereby we do not have to do complex calculations on our own, and we have that calculator with us. It can also help us solve problems creatively, and it helps us make websites, arts, and games. Coding is also a life skill. It teaches problem solving and logic, since it is a language based on logic. It helps us teach problem solving. It also boosts our creativity when we apply and deploy certain programming languages. It helps us boost our creativity. There are a lot of real world stories. Artists use code to write digital art. There are entrepreneurs who are automating their businesses by making websites, by selling stuff online, by creating those websites, which is achieved by coding. And kids are making their own games as well. I hope all of you remember that very viral game called Flappy Bird that was, all over the internet a few years ago. That was, achieved by just a little kid experimenting with a little code. So coding, since it is a programming language, it is a way to talk to computers and tell them what to do. And that is how we communicate with the computer. There are multiple languages in coding. There is HTML, there's CSS, there's JavaScript, there's Python, etc. Lots of them. And each language has its own unique style and strengths. And why are there so many languages? Because each language has a different purpose, and each of them gets a different job done. For example, there are many genres in music or languages. We speak different languages, and similarly, computers also have different languages. and we know them as programming languages. So let's start with the most basic coding language, which is HTML. For simplicity, you may call it the builder. What is it? It is hypertext markup language, or HTML in short. It is the backbone of all web pages. Whenever you're building a website, whenever you're building a web page, HTML is what you use to create the entire structure of the web page, or the entire structure or the skeleton of the website. What does it do? It structures content, for example, texts, images, and links. It embeds them in that web page. And real world examples of using an HTML language include building the skeleton of a website, as I just pointed out. Moving on to a little more complex language, which is the CSS. It is the cascading style sheet, and it is the fashion designer of the web. It includes colors and hues and vignettes and shades, layouts, fonts, styles into the website. So HTML builds the structure, and CSS adds a style onto it by adding colors, layouts, fonts, styles, and different hues to the website. Real world applications of CSS include making your own site beautiful and unique. Once you have the structure ready, which you constructed using the HTML, you can now make your website unique and personalized by using the colors and layouts that the CSS language helps you afford. Following that, we move on to Java, which is the main workhorse, which is the main language that people use. What is it? It is powerful. It is widely used programming language. It is used for mobile applications, for example, Android mobile applications, large systems, games, and enterprise softwares. Uh, it is popular because it is reliable. It runs everywhere. It can be implemented in a simple web page in an HTML box. It can be placed everywhere. So, it's easily deployable, and that is why it is used very widely. It's very popular, and it runs everywhere. Real world examples of the use of JavaScript include banking systems and big company softwares. And finally, we come to one of the most advanced languages, which is Python. It is also known as the all-rounder. It is easy to read and easy to deploy. It is great for beginners, and it is used in web, data, and AI automation. Uh, there are a lot of applications over the web. For example, there's SPSS, there's Excel. So the main workhorse behind their ability to automate and their ability to analyze our data and interpret our data is achieved through the inbuilt Python codes and the source codes generated through Python. So what it does, it is great for beginners, as I repeated, and it is used in web, data, and AI automation. It is very popular because it's simple, it's powerful, and it has a lot of libraries. You can find a lot of free libraries on the internet where you can download samples of Python code serving a lot of purposes. So that saves a lot of time, and the libraries are available for free and they're open access. The real world applications of Python include automating tasks, making games, analyzing data, most importantly, and then powering AI. AI is also powered by a lot of code that is written in open source by Python. So when should we use each of the languages? For if when we want to style our websites, we can opt for CSS. If we want to work on apps and big projects, then Java is the way to go. And Python basically is the all-rounder and can work for everything, starting from, creating your websites to styling them to, applying them or deploying them on big projects. Python basically does it all for you. So now that you know the basics, I think Dr. Komal can take over and give you a few samples of what these languages can do. And then we're going to move on to some hands-on exercises in which we're going to practice all of these languages and deploy them. Over to you, Dr. Komal.
Thank you so much, Munib. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's an honor to be here on the CorTeach platform for this webinar. And me and CorTeach go back a long way, and it's always a wonderful association. It's wonderful to meet our friends, Dr. Azaz Ahmed and Dr. Sara Khalid, who have graciously moderated and organized this session. And it's the first time I'm working formally with Dr. Munib, who is an amazing colleague and has been a friend for very long, and we've worked together on a lot of things. But it's the first time we're doing a webinar together, so I hope that we enjoy and have fun with all of you, and you can tolerate us too. So, like Munib has given you an introduction about what actually is coding, what are the main languages. I will be moving ahead with basically more on vibe coding and how it's used. So again, the objective of this webinar, like Munib has also pointed out, is that this is going to be more of a conversational and an activity-based webinar. So I would like to start with a question that those of you who are from Gen Z or who are aware of Gen Z language, what does vibe mean? What is a vibe? You may answer in the chat. You can unmute your mic. So Dr. Ezaz is ready to connect. Yes, excellent. What else? I'm looking for a few more answers and then we can move ahead. To feel. Yes, thank you, Munib. Feeling. Yeah, very good. So vibe is basically a feeling. Anyone else would like to connection, connecting, connecting with something. All right. So both of the aspects are correct. It is a feeling, it is a connection. When someone says that we vibe together or this person meets my vibe, that means that they share some sort of aesthetic or some sort of a feeling or some sort of thing that is relatable to each other. So, like Muni pointed out, that coding is complicated. Uh, all through our life, we have listened to how it's very complex. It's something that people who are software engineers do. Languages are difficult, but with the advent of AI, these things have changed considerably. So, my coding story is that I learned Python, and because I'm not a practicing software engineer, so I can do basic level Python coding. But since I did not get the time to actually practice and rehearse it throughout, I tend to forget a lot of things, and I cannot go to complex levels because you need advanced training for that. And being a medical doctor, being a practicing medical educationist, I did not have time for those things. Though I wanted to develop things which would be more advanced, but unfortunately, it is complicated and it takes time. However, with the advent of AI, things have changed considerably. The concept of vibe coding came in. Vibe coding is basically coding based on your vibe. That is, it's based on your mood, on your intuition, or your aesthetic. It does not require you to learn any specific coding language. You have to know a basic of what the coding language does, like Muniv has beautifully told you that what is Java used for, um, what is CSS used for, what is Python used for. So if you know the basics, you just need to generate loose, creative, nice prompts on specific AI softwares, and they will generate the code or the execution of the code for you. So you don't need to have any sort of technical knowledge of coding. And this was initiated by a psychology student who created a simulator using simple coding. And then he tried to amalgamate it with AI, and that turned out really well. And since then, we have all sorts of large language models which now have the capacity to vibe code for you. So, what is the benefit of these things? Why is it important? Being medical doctors, being professionals, particularly those on the clinical side, the main skill, the main importance, the main value that you bring to the table is of your ideas, of your concepts, of your clinical expertise, of the way you structure things. So, vibe coding gives you a chance to actually create simulations and apps by using your expertise and connecting it automatically with coding expertise that the AI is going to give. So, it saves a lot of time. You have to focus on main things, the plan of the prompt, the way you want it generated, the cognitive skills needed for it. And you don't need to think about what you're going to enter into Python for it, how many lines of code you have to write, how many spaces do you have to give. So the technical part is taken over by the AI, and you being the clinician or the anatomist or the physiologist or the biochemist, you have the whole idea generation in your hand, and it gives you a lot of time, it gives you more speed for idea generation. So this is ideal for people who are non-coders, who are educators, who are entrepreneurs, who are looking for creativity, developing for rapid things, rapid prototypes, developing new brands developing websites, but they don't have that kind of time to actually formally code, or they don't have the money to hire a coder. They can actually easily do it wonderfully with vibe coding, and it's also quite cheap. So you can develop slightly complex simulations, websites, and brands, but at a little lesser expense. So it's something that is very, very useful. It comes in handy. However, like everything that large language models develop, I would still come with a disclaimer about this because I have been using vibe coding apps and I have coded without vibe coding. Like hallucinations, at some points in the code, some of the apps may hallucinate and there might be a stop in your process, but that is very less. We're going to look at some examples and I'll tell you how to avoid that and where to keep your vibe coding level. So let's move ahead. Now, let's move on to the practical portion. I'm going to tell you about different apps which are involved in vibe coding, and both me and Munib will be giving you demonstrations, and then we'll want you to code for yourself. So that is what we want during this session. Now, there are four steps to your vibe coding process. The first is you have to choose your mood or your concept. Now, I'm talking about a general audience. If you want to choose your mood, like you want to make, you're happy and you want to make a happy aesthetic on your website, you want to stylize it in a certain way, you have to put that down somewhere in a written form that this is what I want on my website. I want it to be purple and lavender. I want flowers to be on in the background. I want it to be wonderfully structured. I want it to have some happy motivational quotes on top. So you have to, like an artist, have a picture in your mind of exactly what you want. If it's a clinical concept, you need to know exactly what the concept is. For example, if I'm creating a vibe code simulator for learning diabetes, for teaching diabetes, sorry, I may want to make a blood sugar level monitor, something in which if I give a certain blood sugar level, the simulator will create some sort of scenario and ask the student at what level is this patient, how much insulin should be given to him. Now, for that, I have to think about the whole thing that what level of student am I teaching? Am I teaching diabetes mellitus in second year physiology? So for that, what sort of a stimulator do I need? It has to be something very basic, which will have clinical scenarios, which will lead to a diagnosis if this is type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes, if this is diabetes insipidus. So something in which the student can differentiate between this. However, if I'm teaching somebody from final year or somebody who's a resident, I can develop a more complicated glucose monitor in which I can give glucose values and I can ask the student, uh, the AI, to generate a code through which it can make a simulated patient who's getting ill, whose symptoms will be coming. And then the student will be required to administer insulin or to administer oral glucose or to administer other drugs to save the patient from going into decay or to save the patient from going into any complicated situation. So I have to have a concept in my mind which is very clear. Once I have that clarity, if you want, because this is again prompt generation. So you can put that concept into ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek, any prominent prompt generator that you're using, and you can get it refined from there also, so that it comes in the form of prompts. So once you have a basic outline and you know what you want to do, you select an AI tool which will be the best for that particular activity that you want. So there are different AI tools which do different things, and we'll be moving on to that. So there are some which will develop apps, there are some which will develop web pages, there are some which are multifaceted, like Gemini and ChatGPT can do both of these things. Gemini and ChatGPT can also develop games. Um, there are some which, like Canva, can help you develop websites, which can help you develop marketing campaigns, which can help you develop banners, posters. So all these are used for different types of whiteboarding. So again, let's revise the steps. The first is that you choose your concept or your mood. The second is that you select your AI tool. The third is that now you have to prompt the AI with vibe-based instructions. So whatever concept you have chosen, now you have to write it in such a way that it becomes a prompt. So generally when we are prompting, we try to talk in the first person. We try to give them the scenario that, for example, you are a an endocrinologist who is trying to teach his trainees how to properly control and monitor blood glucose levels in diabetic patients with complications. The complications are obesity, diabetic ketoacidosis, insulin resistant diabetes mellitus, etc. Generate 4 clinical scenarios that may be asked from your trainee so that he can learn how to manage blood glucose levels and monitor his answers according to clinical standards of diabetes measurement. So I'm just making this long. I'm sorry if something technically messed up in the middle, but something like this would be the prompt where you will write things more specifically. When you choose your mood or concept, it's slightly more abstract. When you're writing for the prompt, you have to write each and every detail in each step. You have to mention the color of the background that you want. You have to mention the palette that you want to use. You have to mention the exact uh, flower that you are thinking you want in the background. If it's a clinical case, you have to mention the ages, the stages. So the prompt has to be slightly more clearer. Last thing, you will put it into the AI tool. And then once it is generated, you will keep on reviewing and tweaking it unless you feel that this is now perfect. Because, like I told you, the problem with large language models generally is that they do tend to hallucinate a bit. And in that hallucination, sometimes they do get the code stuck in the middle. So, if you have someone who has a coding background, that code can get corrected very easily. However, if it's getting stuck, you can give an alternate prompt. You can keep on asking it to correct it, and it generally brings you to the level where you want. So these are the 4 main steps that we're going to follow. Choose, select the tool, prompt properly with vibe-based instructions, and then review and tweak as you go along so that you can get your perfect tool, your perfect game, your perfect website, whatever you are building. Now, these are 4 popular vibe coding tools. Replit basically builds web pages and app prototypes. It's really good. It's the one I prefer the most. The issue with Replit is that its basic uh, package is wonderful. It can help you create a website, but if you want to go commercial or if you want to go public, that the package has a small limit. So it will be enable you to do that for a small time period. The paid package is slightly expensive. To maintain your paid packages, you need to pay a monthly subscription fee. So if you are serious about the work you are doing and if you think that it needs to be generated, by all means, you can go ahead and get the paid package. Otherwise, the free one is pretty nice. Glitch makes playful websites. The websites are very beautifully designed, they're very colorful. Glitch is one which I don't use a lot, but we will see how it works. It has a lot of colors, a lot of creative ideas, but it's basically for website building. So if you want to make a website, Glitch is an option. However, Replit also makes really good websites. Canva, most of you must be aware of what Canva does because Canva has been introduced in a lot of schools now also. Canva has a proper AI interface now, which is used for all sorts of visual posts. So you can ask its AI to generate a specific post for your, let's say, your social media campaign, or for your website, or for your posters that you have to place outside, for your banners, for your Twitter campaign. So Canva generates a lot of very beautiful, very vivid, and quite accurate visual posts given the vibe coding you give it. The last is probably the master of everything, that is ChatGPT. This is not just restricted to ChatGPT. Gemini also vibe codes pretty well. Um, I think I have not experienced Grok and DeepSeek, but I've heard that they can do it too. So ChatGPT and Gemini I've used personally, and you can create text, slogans, concepts, games, small websites, these things by ChatGPT and Gemini quite easily. And Munib is the bigger expert on this part, so he will be explaining and showing you in detail how ChatGPT can actually do all of this. All right. So now we're going to start with slide demonstrations of the different interfaces. Um, this is just an example of what Replit can do. You can ask it to create a simple landing page with a calming health vibe and see what it does. So let's start off with this. I need to know if all of you are following me. At this point, if there's any question, please ask. So then I can move ahead to the Replit website. So if we're good to go, please, I'll move on to the Replit website and You can see. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's go to the Replit interface. Right. Can everybody see my screen share? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So this is a website called Replit. This is the address you can see over here. It's simply replit.com. I've already logged in. The login procedure is very simple. It is just the way you log into most regular websites now. You have to give your username, password. You have to give your, if you can do it through Gmail, you can give your Google account. So that's how it works. So I'm saving that time by showing you that I've logged in. This is my home page. You can see that to the left, there is option of create an app. Then there is home apps, deployments. Deployments mean how many apps have you actually launched. So when you create something, either you can just keep it for yourself or you can give the link to a few people and it stays private. If you want to share it with other people or you want to use it at a larger level, you can deploy it. So deployment means that it is now public and people can see and use it. Then it shows you its usage. It has other options which we'll discuss later. So let's just go to create an app, which is basically what we want to do. So now I've clicked create app and you can see over here it's writing create an app with a Replit agent. So either I can create a new app by starting a chat over here, just like you talk to ChatGPT, or I have an option to choose a template. So templates are slightly trickier um, because they ask you for your preferred language. So those of you who do not know different languages that are on Replit, Python is probably the safest way to go with the template. Then you have others like Node.js, C, HTML, Pygame. So if you want to choose from a template of already built apps, you can add a name over here and look through their list. However, those templates are usually, let me show you some. So these are some of the templates that you will see. They are website templates, they are graphic templates, chatbot templates, game templates, whatever you want to create. So let's just look at some of the game examples just to show you. Pygame is a set of Python module designed for writing video games. So if you want to create a video game, you can choose the Pygame template. You can choose the Kaboom template if you want to make games. So these are all different options. Now, because we will be working more related to medical education right now, uh, we will create a standard template. So the first thing we want to do is the example I showed you. I had written on that screen, simple landing page with calming health vibe. So let's just start this as a very basic thing for starters. A landing page is the page in your website if you're creating a website. So it's that page in your website where your people will land as soon as they come onto your website. So that is known as a landing page. And usually it's said that if you have a good landing page, your website is very well advertised, it's done. So now in app type, I usually choose auto because then Replit chooses for you, which is probably the best choice. You can easily code them. If you are more specific, you can choose different types of coding languages here also. So I'm keeping it at auto and I'm just going to copy paste. I'm just going to paste exactly what I just said, that let's make a simple landing page with a calming health vibe. Let's make a simple landing page for my wellness website with a calming health vibe. So this is my first prompt. Now I start the chat and Replit will start talking to me about it. And while it talks, it will start generating the page also. So let's see what it does. So here you can see its answer. It says, I understand you want to create a simple landing page for your wellness page, website. Let me create a plan for you. So now it's named the website by itself because I didn't put a name. So it's calling it the Wellness Affair. This is the plan that it is creating for me, and it's designing its own visual preview. So you can see over here that it's writing code. In a few minutes, we will be able to see what Replit has planned for us. These are the features that it is saying that I am planning. So hero section with compelling wellness messages, service offerings, about section with your philosophy, contact information. So all the things I need if I am making a wellness page. So you can see over here, this is my landing page that Replit has decided to make. I've maximized the preview so that everybody can see more clearly that it makes this sort of a landing page. And if I am to code more, it will make all of these other pages functional also. So this is not just a simple preview, this is an interactive preview. Because I've just coded for one page, so it's just showing that page. So if I start writing that activate the home page, activate the services page, all of these I will be able to interact with on this particular platform. So you can see it's writing a philosophy, it's generated reviews. So if I am to start a wellness website, this is a perfect page I would want my people to just come first. All right. Now it's put all these things and now it's asking me, ready to build, approve the plan when you're ready. So if I think this is a good plan and I like this page, which I think is fine, let's approve the plan. Okay. So now it's going to create this prototype and then I can code more about things I don't like. For example, I want the logo to be more. I'm just going along with whatever is coming to my mind. I want the logo to be more yoga oriented. I want the theme colors in gradients of purple. Okay, so I've given it more instructions. It's working on those. And you can see over here, for those of you who are coding enthusiasts, that usually Munib also explained this to you, that when it's creating pictures, it's creating platforms, it's using color, it's going to code in CSS. So you can see over here that it's working on CSS coding. Now, the beauty of using the auto coding is that it will pick by itself that which sort of coding has to be done where does it need to use Python, where does it need to use Java, and it'll keep on doing it itself. Okay, so it's taking its time to read this and it will change the colors accordingly. Till the time it works on that, let me show you other things. This is the deploy option. If I have finalized and I've decided to make this website, I can deploy it to either my own web page or my own web domain that I have. Otherwise, Replit creates its own websites. So you deploy it and the website is created basically. And then it will be online for some time. And the free data consumption volume, it limits you to, I think, 2, 3 pages of a website. You will be able to use them and share them with other people for some time. So let's see what deploy. You can see over here. This is the options that it's creating in giving you in the deploy section. So you just have to edit these, that how many compute units you need, how many CPUs will use it at a time, how many machines. So the more number of machines you put, it starts asking you for money. So if it's one machine at a time or two machines at a time, it will work for free. But more than that, it'll start asking you for money. So when you approve this, it goes to, I'm not approving it because I don't want the website to be implemented. When you approve it, it will take you to the implementation section, show you how much data will be used. You say yes, you will get a link that you can share with people. And as simple as that, your website is launched. Okay. Now it's taking some time, so we can just ask it here. Can you show in the preview? Okay, so it's done. So let's see what it comes up with. Now it's changed things according to my preferences, and it's asking me that how does the overall design and layout feel to you? Does it convey a sense of calm and wellness? Do you want to change this? I'll update the logo to be more yoga oriented. I'll change the theme colors. So it's just going to preview that. Okay, Dr. Mona, the landing page can be the home page. Certain apps have a more detailed home page. So the landing page is the first page that most websites show you. And from then you can see over here, this is the home. So you can develop a more detailed and advanced homepage. However, if you want the homepage and the landing page to be the same, you can write that in the prompt and it'll do that for you as well. Okay, you can see it's changed the colors. Serenity Wellness is now purple. Everything is now coming in hues of purple because I wanted more purple in the color section. So it's working according to what I'm saying. Now, whatever more I want, if I want to add a game over here, if I want to add some particular character over here, it'll keep on changing it till I like it. And that's when you can actually stop and you can deploy your app. If you don't choose to deploy it, you can keep your app private and you can still share the link with a few people through your account and they can actually access it. Okay, so this was an example. I'm going to cut this a bit short because I want to show you something more medically oriented. This was just a very basic example of what Replit does as an agent. So it can create apps for you with the click of a finger. And right now, because I guess a bit of my net speed is slightly slower, it actually takes a few minutes if you know what to code properly. Okay, so here is Wellness Fair. It is a private app, so it's only restricted to me. I can see and restrict this app. I don't need it because it takes up some of my space, so I'm going to delete it and I'm going to show you a more technical app that you can make as a medical educationist and the process that you can do for that. Yes, you can use your own pictures. Over here, can you see this attach file option? So at any point in the app, you want to add your own logo, you want to add your own picture, you can attach any sort of file. See, it's coming to all these things. So if you want to attach any picture, any logo, you can put it there. Even a video, short one, you can put it there, and then you can just instruct that, please use this picture, please use my logo, and it'll do that. Okay, now I wanted to show you something more related to medicine and clinical practice, a simulator. So I created my concept map over here. I usually do this on notes because it's easier to actually paste onto Replit. So I want to make a medical text-based simulator where I write very simple clinical scenarios and students make the diagnostic and clinical decisions. So here's the prompt I wrote that you are to create a basic text-based simulator using Python because Python is the general language. The simulator should guide the user who is acting as a doctor through a very simple clinical scenario and let them make diagnostic or treatment decisions. The goal is to help users understand basic medical reasoning using interactive choices. So this is the main prompt that I have put. Now, because I know that Replit is going to ask other things, I have decided to add a bit more so that it understands exactly what I want. So the more clearer you make your prompt, the easier it is for your whiteboarder to understand. So here are my project requirements. I want a text-based interface. I don't want generative UI in it because I want it to easily function for everyone. So this is important. I would recommend using simplified formats as much as possible because things get stuck with more complicated codes. There's a more chance of hallucination. And then if you go into a paid account, your data is consumed very quickly if your code is complicated. Use basic Python concepts, print, input, if, else, and optional functions. So because I knew how to add Python over here, I just put this as an option just so that it makes it very simple. The scenarios have to be patients presenting with very common symptoms. I want this to be something that third year, fourth year, final year can use, so I want very common symptoms. Users must choose between 2 to 3 options from the for diagnosis or treatment. The simulator needs to provide feedback on the user's choice. There must be at least one correct decision pathway and one incorrect pathway with educational feedback. If you want more than one decision pathway correct, that's fine. But there has to be at least one right and wrong answer so that the student can clarify. Last thing is that keep the code beginner friendly, short, and very well commented and easy so that I don't have to deal with a lot of hallucinations. I can do it quickly. And here I've given an example. The example is very, very silly. Those of you who are clinicians, please forgive me about this. Patients presents with fever and sore throat. So I've given option A, B, C, and the simulator responds to each choice with feedback. So student will choose out of any of these options, and the simulator ask will respond with feedback. And then I wanted to add multiple choice scenarios. So let's see. I'm going to copy paste this from here. I'm going to put it into Replit. Um, let's see what it basically comes with. And later on, you'll understand that you can actually modify this as much as possible. So just as an example, let me add a image here. Though images tend to slow things down, but I'm just going to add an image here to demonstrate what ma'am asked for, that can we add our own image or not. Let me find any random image that is okay. Let's just add this, but for the time being, it's just an image. All right. Now the last line I can add is that add the image attached as my logo. So it started reading and it's going to see what it can do. Now it's giving you a plan. This is what Replit is telling you, that this is what it's going to do based on the prompt. So this is the name it has given, medical simulator. It will keep asking you to approve, plan, and start. If you don't like these features, you can keep chatting with it till the time that you come to something that you think is right. So I'm going to approve, plan, and start because first of all, I think the features are fine. Secondly, I want to move on with this so that you can see other things. Okay, this is going to take a few minutes more than the previous app, previous thing that we did because that was just one web page. So you have to understand that the amount of information you are giving and the type of product you are aiming for, that much time it will take. So till the time it actually executes this, I'm going to share with you a public replit which I really like. It's made by two of my colleagues who've actually published about this. They are both clinicians. They made one for controlling sugar and it's published on their website. And this is one of the I'm sorry about that. I got disconnected. I'll just reshare my screen with you so that you can see end products of prompt generation. So this is one about sugar control, and a paper has been written about this and how it was a very simple simulator, but it actually helps students. So if you can open this, I'll share it on the screen also. I'm sorry, I got disconnected again for some reason. I'll reshare my screen and we can do this. Okay, sorry. Somehow my screen is still stuck. I was trying to figure out what to do with it. I hope you can see this window. So this is the insulin and blood sugar simulation. Um, my screen is working now, but I'm not sure if you people can see it. Uh, you can see over here how the app works. You can set your baseline sugar, if you insulin injections, meals, and sugar events. The simulation calculates how much insulin is needed or how much it interacts with meals. So they gave in this basically when making this app, this is done on Replit and it's projected on the website of the university. They've given in the insulin sensitivity factor, they've given the insulin carbohydrate ratio. So you pick any insulin that you use, like Novamix, you see the time, you see the amount of units. Now it's going to tell you exactly how many units do you need to calculate and what is going to be your body insulin factor and the baseline sugar factor. So here you can see it's telling you that at what time, how much Novamix is needed and how it affects your blood sugars. You can see this, the red line is blood sugar and the green graph is Novamix. So if I keep like changing the doses over here, it will keep changing this graph and it will reflect my sugar control. So you see it's going in minus over here. That means I'm doing something wrong and I might go, or I might induce my patient to go into some sort of a coma. So this is one of the simulators they created for endocrinology for insulin and blood sugar simulation. There was another one that was created for the diagnostic challenge, and both of them are functional and in practice, and their clinicians are actually using them now. They had to tweak this quite a few times, 2 to 3 times, to achieve diagnostic accuracy, but ultimately it actually worked. So here is the other simulator. This is basically the differential diagnosis trainer for PACES. So they created an MRCP PACES differential diagnosis trainer. Again, very simple app created on Replit, the same way that we've created it. They created a how to use page so that you understand what to do. This is basically based on the prompts they gave themselves. So they asked Replit to create a page based on those prompts. Sorry. So how do you start a case? What are the customization options? How will you write the differentials? How will you get AI feedback? And what's the best way to use this app? Now let's see over here. This is the ticker. It moves and it generates a new case. So here's thrombocytopenia and conjunctival pallor. These are the two symptoms that they've given us. I have to write the AI diagnosis and associated symptoms over here in the differential diagnosis area. And this is the amount of time I have. So any guesses? Thrombocytopenia and conjunctival pallor. What can be a DD? We're running out of time. Anybody, any clinician would like to make a guess? We can enter it here and let's see what happens. Okay, Dr. Mona. I was expecting Dr. Mona to save the day. So let's enter even syndrome. Let's lock in the answer and see what it does. So now the AI is generating the analysis. These were the only things, how to write a prompt, what sort of a preface it wanted, what would be the instructions. These were the things that the authors gave. Now the AI is going to be generating the feedback on this. So yes, this is my differential. These are the differentials given by ChatGPT. That is dengue, most likely, acute leukemia, aplastic anemia, possible but less likely, SLE, even syndrome variant, unlikely but a diagnosis that is not to be missed. So well done, Dr. Mona. And idiopathic thrombocytopenia purpura with secondary bleeding. It is possible but less likely. Let's evaluate my diagnosis, our diagnosis, that is even syndrome. So here is the evaluation. Now, this is a disclaimer. the word AI evaluation written here because there's not a real clinician sitting behind the screen and telling you the evaluations. These are evaluations being generated by artificial intelligence through large language models. There's quite a chance that they can be completely accurate, but obviously there might be slight inaccuracy. That is where your core clinical team or your teachers come in. All right. So the reasoning identifies the linkage between thrombocytopenia and pallor, recognizing that even syndrome could explain these findings. However, basing the differential solely on these two abnormalities without adding context or further lab values means that this is somewhat a premature explanation. What you did well, you correctly associated the two symptoms. You recognized that a combined precipitation of anemia and thrombocytopenia leads to an autoimmune condition, and you demonstrated familiarity with a rare autoimmune hematological differential. Then it tells you areas for consideration that you need to ask these things or see these areas. Then it tells you how to improve your diagnostic reasoning. So this is very simple text-based simulator that anyone can generate with a little thinking about it. And you can see over here they've written that we leverage schema theory to help users develop cognitive frameworks. So they're putting their medical education to use in this particular page. So this is how you can actually bring it to practical value. This is again generated by Replit and added onto their server. Let's go back to what we were doing on Replit. The simulator has been made. Let's see what they have created for us. So just as a reminder, the simulator we were making was going to help us with clinical decision making. So we were going to have a scenario and we would have options, and then every option would have feedback. So let's see what we've generated this time. Okay, so this is taking a little time to start. So any questions about how to use Replit? Because this is basically a small demonstration about how to use it. Then you saw interfaces where it's actually being used. I am a medical educationist, so I particularly use Replit for creating medical education-based simulators like simulators on ethical issues, privacy-based issues. Then I have an MCQ bank that we have generated through Replit, but that's on the university website. So any questions regarding Replit administration or usage? And then we'll just move to a little bit of Canva. And then Munib will show two of the things that he has made on Replit and ChatGPT, and we'll be moving on to ChatGPT. And the last 30 minutes we'll be giving you for practical work, and then we'll have a debrief with you. All right, Dr. Sarah is saying no, but I'll have to try it. So yeah, that's basically the whole concept with all sorts of artificial intelligence generation, that you have to test it at least once. And once you get the hang of it, it actually helps. Uh, Ma'am, can you show a glimpse of how good the MCQ can be made on Replit, like from basic sciences? Okay, so MCQ generation is something that I think Munib is going to show you. I have an MCQ bank where the MCQs are created by the faculty of the university and they are saved on a Replit app. It does create very good virtual cases. We do have an MCQ generator also that Munib is going to show you very soon. Basic science MCQs, if you make them scenario based or clinical oriented, uh, that is easier. But if you make them, let's say, just core basic science MCQs, then Replit is not really the ideal place because core basic science knowledge, C1 level, C2 level MCQs, even C4 level core basic science knowledge MCQs require exact expertise in books. Okay, about safety. Yeah, it's safe because it has a specific cloud space for each of the paid accounts. So if you're using it for a bigger project like MCQ bank creation, it is safe. Excess of students, the one that we are using is basically used on the clinical side for our clinical faculty, postgraduate students, because that strength is less. In medical school, we have 150 students in a class of MBBS, and the amount of data required on Replit for that is slightly costlier, combined with the monthly fee. So we've not yet piloted it on our undergraduate classes because of the cost issue and also because of the heavy traffic issue that when there's so much traffic, it starts hanging slightly. But yes, if you take the paid app as a institutional subscription, you can technically implement it.
Dr. Komal, if you may allow, I'd like to answer Dr. Amara's question.
Yeah, please, sure. I couldn't see her hand, so please.
So Dr. Amara's question was, can you show a glimpse of how good the MCQ can be made on Replit, like from basic medical science? So AI, Replit basically will be leveraging an AI model to create the MCQs. You can pick and choose which
Yeah,
mod you want. And in this case, the example that Dr. Komal was showing was using O4 Mini High. And if you use O4 Mini High for creating an MCQ, it is going to give you a very good MCQ. A O4 Mini High promises PhD level individual reasoning. So the questions that may be generated from it are going to be of very good quality. And also because it's a machine and does what you want it to do. So if you write a really smart prompt and ask it very wisely to create a scenario-based MCQ for basic medical sciences, it is going to do that for you. And I'm going to try in my turn to create an MCQ for you from ChatGPT, the same model that Dr. Komal was
yeah.
showing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Munib. Thank you so much for that. O4 Mini High is basically the same model that you have in ChatGPT 4. Uh, it's also the built-in model for Replit. So it uses O4 Mini High usually. And if you ask it to use some other model, it will try to do that too. It can access ChatGPT, it can access Gemini also with the free subscription. The standard model is O4 Mini High. So here is another one of the apps that I have made. I'm just showing this because the other one is still loading. It's taking a bit of time. So this is interactive faculty development simulations. I did this because being part of the medical education core team, faculty development is important. Um, we did scenarios where each module presents you with real world teaching scenarios and asks you to make decisions based on evidence-based teaching principles. It gives you immediate feedback about your decisions based on research. I put a bunch of research articles here so that it could actually do from that. Then it gives you professional tracking across the modules and research-based content is added there too. So it took me some time to make this. Let me just show you how it works. So this is basically something I do with my faculty as a bite-sized faculty development activity um, online. You know, when they're not in faculty development programs and I want them to learn basic things, I tend to send this to them. And some of them, mostly basic science people are more easily invested. They find the time. Clinicians think this is helpful because it's very bite-sized. They can use it. So here are the modules I've put into this: effective feedback techniques, mentoring strategies, managing difficult learners, bedside clinical teaching approaches, and creating engaging medical lectures. So once you want to enter, you have to write your full name and you begin the program. Now I'm registering as myself. These are the different levels of people that you have. You can always choose other if you are not part of that. It asks for your statistics, your teaching experience, and your department, so it modifies it accordingly. So let's just assume I'm from internal medicine right now. And my years of experience are now whichever ones I'm interested in and whatever my teaching goal is, it will add. So this is the registration process. Now, preferred reading method is a mixed approach. So this is all the information I've given here. I agree to the terms of policy to use the app and I complete this. Now, here's the first instructional video I have on feedback conversations with students and preceptors. So when I made this app, I can show you the generation process on this side. I chose videos from YouTube that I thought for each of the modules that I just showed you. I chose videos from YouTube that I thought would be helpful in us developing my faculty to do certain things. So this is one of the videos that's on feedback. So this is the video I added. It's about feedback conversation with students and preceptors. Now, what is going to happen? The faculty sees the video. You can ask Replit to embed videos from various websites or from YouTube onto your page. So this is just an example because I think I'm taking up Munib's time. And then we continue to the scenario. So this is the scenario. You are an attending physician supervising registered rounds during a patient case presentation. The resident made some mistakes and omitted important information. You need to give them feedback. The resident has been sensitive to criticism in the past. The question is, how will you approach giving feedback to this resident? So I'm randomly going to click an option here. And incidentally, it was correct. It's going to give me the number of points I've scored. I've given points for this so that people actually get interested. Particularly with the clinical faculty, I've noticed that they love competition. So when they're getting points, they actually start answering things. So this is the feedback, and this is the teaching principle with the article that I had put for feedback. I continue, I go to the next one, there's the next video, and all the options that I have chosen. By the end of my activity, if I've completed all those options, I will get a certificate, which I will then be able to download in a PDF form. So this is one of the apps that I use with my faculty. It's called the Faculty Development Simulator. The question bank app, I can show you a brief preview, but because it is institutional, so I don't have the rights to actually disclose the whole thing. So once we've seen how Replit works, um, the other platforms are usually more or less the same. ChatGPT is easier, it has more functions. Munib was going to explain it a lot better. Canva is simply writing a prompt and it will generate a picture for you. Okay, so this app is already deployed. It's functional, it's working. These are the last glitches over here because I'm the developer, so I can see this page. Otherwise, everybody else can just see the website. So let me show you. Okay, I'll show you over here on the shorter average that this is the name of the app is the Dabur. It's based on the Quranic concept of deep reflection. So this is my landing page, like I told you before. So it introduces the app. It has the login and registration page. You have to register first to log in. In the registration, you are asked your full name, your user. You have to enter a username. The admin then accepts it. Let me just try and log in here so I can show you something. Then you have to explain which department you are. The questions are based on the different departments. Everything is based on that. You have to give your role, whether you are a faculty member or whether you are a trainee. If you are a trainee, you are not able to access the question banks directly. You are just able to access the tests which are generated from the faculty. So that's the way it works. The net is slightly slow, otherwise I would have shown this to you on a bigger scale. And Dr. Reem, this answers your question. This is our official logo. So yes, you can use your own logo and your own images. The color combination is something I liked, so I set it that way. So you can use all these things by your own self. Uh, this scale of app development requires the paid version, but the unpaid version can easily make without videos and without pictures, easy simulators like the one that the diagnostic challenge one was made. So those are good to have and are easier to use. How much time does the faculty development program take for faculty members to complete? Okay, Dr. Mona, the thing is that most people who do it, they've been doing it in one go because they're short videos. The videos are like 3 minutes. So there are 5 modules. So it takes around 2 hours if somebody goes in one goes, like 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on your net speed too. Some people tend to just leave it in the middle because a lot of clinicians, they will watch one video and then they'll go back in the so it takes them as much time as they want, like 2 days, 3 days. Sometimes they just forget it in the middle and we have to poke them that, please do this. So it's sort of a case to case because this is asynchronous from our side. It's not something which is being administered. AI powered LMS softwares. Okay, I'll move over to Muneeb now because I think I've taken some of his time. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience and tolerating all the internet glitches. If you have any questions, me and Muneeb will be answering them together at the end. So Dr. Ranjit has asked if we know any AI powered LMS softwares. I think most new LMS have AI integrations. So, Muneeb, they want a break of 5 minutes before we move on. Dr. Sumera wants a break. If that's okay with the administrators and if everybody else wants one.
I'm okay with that if the admin allows Dr. Azaz.
Dr. Sara is allowed in the chat, so.
Okay, so let's take a break of 5 minutes and then we can recollect at 3:25.
Okay, Dr. Amara, you will basically Replit is an app. Okay, you want to ask about the app. All right. So yes, Replit is available as an app on the phone also. It's nice, but it's an adjunct to the browser. So you will have to have it on your system also. I would strongly recommend you have it on your system also. It's easier to work with. It's easier to create. More options are present there, but it works on the phone quite well as well. Yeah. Munib, do you want to tell about Canva?
Mm, I think I'll stick to ChatGPT.
Okay, so Canva just has Canva is basically a poster making, visual basics making software. You to go to canva.com, you'll be able to see it. It has an AI option now. So you go there and you write AI Movie Maker or AI Canva, and it opens a separate window. Whatever you want to create as an image, like you can do on DALL-E and ChatGPT, you just have to write that in the prompt. That create a 16 by 4-inch poster with vibrant colors about the importance of blood donation. So Canva will take that and it will create something. It's fairly easy to use. Um, you can navigate it, and if you have any questions, you can always ask one of us. It's quite similar to what Munib is going to do with ChatGPT, except that ChatGPT has a lot more features. So it's not just going to create a picture. ChatGPT can create games, it can create visuals. It's very strong. Okay, me and Munib were just discussing this, I think, slightly before we were actually on this webinar regarding Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. So Mara's asked about it. Um, Copilot has a lot of shortcomings. It doesn't usually show a lot of things. Uh, it's good for very basic level Microsoft editing, like you can ask it to make Excel tables, you can ask it for very basic formatting. But in my experience, if you ask it to do anything else, it starts getting stuck. So it does have Canva features in its package. I think not regular Copilot, but if you add an add-on, it might. So I haven't explored that option. So Copilot
And we
gets
haven't
stuck
really
quite
found
often.
Copilot to be very reliable most of the times. The service is down.
Yeah.
Often, it tends to hallucinate a lot. So it's not something we would recommend that you subscribe to. There is a free version available for some time for users. You may try that out, but subscription wouldn't really be a very wise idea. So I
Okay,
think
Manip, I
we
think we restart. I think it's time.
forward, if that is okay with everyone. I'm sorry, Dr. Komal, you were saying something. I cut you off.
I was just saying, I think you should restart. I think it's time.
Okay, so let's restart. So thank you, Dr. Komal, for all of the wonderful examples that you showed. And it's really important for all of us to understand that all of those apps that Dr. Komal showed us that were created and deployed were achieved just with a prompt. We did not have to spend time writing lengthy Python codes or writing any other programming languages. We did not have to spend so much time downloading pictures from the internet, thinking about what styles we want to adopt. Uh, it really cuts down on the amount of time that is required for such complex apps to be created and for such visually appealing web pages to be created. And in the past, what it might have taken a programmer like 24 hours or 36 hours to create can be created using Replit in just over a minute by entering a very smart prompt. So that is the advantage of vibe coding, that using natural language, using just a simple conversation, English or Urdu or whichever language you prefer, you enter that into Replit or any AI model, and it helps you achieve such complex creations. And that is the beauty of vibe coding. So I'm going to show you some examples. Let's start with a few more interactive and playful applications of vibe coding. So I'm going to share a game with you, and let's play that. Okay, so all of you can see a small hangman game in on your screens, and we've all played that as children with our peers. And let's try playing this one. So, you have to guess the name of a bone, and there's a hint, it protects your brain. You have to guess which letters to add. If you write a correct word, it's going to show up there on the screen. And if you guess a wrong letter, the hangman is going to, it's going to start drawing. So let's start with what, okay, you've guessed the entire letter altogether. So let's go, skull. So I'm going to go with S, K, U, and L. So we're on to the next level now. So the next is commonly called the breastbone. Mm, it can be the sternum.
People
Wonderful.
are picking on really fast on your game.
Exactly. So it's sternum. So, you- yes, I'm going to add a wrong letter. Okay, so the correct answer in this case may be a tricep, but let's, start typing bicep. So if we enter a wrong letter, a head appears for the hangman. And since we're entering wrong letters, we're going to lose. And then we have to start our streak all over again from no voice. So this is a basic example of what playful, fun games and activities you can create with coding. And I'm going to show you a hands-on demonstration on how we achieved it. Dr. Komal was also talking about some simulation. So I'm going to show you a sample simulation as well that I just deployed while we were, talking. So this is it isn't necessarily correct shape of the rhythm of the ECG, but this is something I just deployed. So you can create such simulations for students in which they can look at ECG rhythms and interpret what may be wrong with the patient. So this is practically a normal ECG. If you click on Brady, it's going to show you this, tachycardia, ventral fibrillation. So you can work to make it better. I'm also going to show you how to create this with coding. So if you all have your computers with you, I would recommend that you open ChatGPT and then follow me as we, go along this hands-on activity. Okay. So what we're basically going to do is write a prompt, and we can write a prompt to create, uh, let's create a game. Okay, so I write a really basic prompt and then I ask it to create the code. And then we're going to step it up gradually. So what you're seeing here is that it is writing me a Python code. Okay. So if we want, for example, since we're using ChatGPT now and not Replit, we're going to need an environment where we need to deploy it. So we can deploy it at a website or we can just open a Google site and deploy it. I'm going to show you another tip as well. So when you give it a very basic prompt like this, it is going to give you a short code that is going to yield a very basic game for you. But if you want a more advanced prompt, you can actually ask it to write a prompt for you. So you're basically asking it to write a prompt for itself. And it's written a much more detailed prompt than what I was able to produce. And then you can select the appropriate model. I think the best model for coding is O4 Mini High, and that is what we're going to select. And
Um, O for Mini High is it a paid model or is it okay with, is it available in all models?
you can access it on a free model, but there's a limit to how much you can use.
Mhm. All right.
You can also select the language that you want to write. For example, I can ask it to write the code. So since we're going to deploy it on a simple environment, for example, a Google site, I've asked it to rewrite the code in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So
Because these are the more commonly used scripts on
exactly, yes.
websites.
And it's given
Oh,
me the code in three separate snippets. So I'm going to ask it to give it to me in one single file.
okay.
So all I need to do is to copy it. And then we're going to go over to any environment. For example, I'm going to open a Google site. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here.
Can you open a Google site and show us how to put it
Exactly.
there? Okay. So can you share your screen for that?
Yes.
Also, I have a question. If you place it on a Google site, for example, let's say I've created a Google site, but that doesn't have a domain. So is that all right? I can just put it there?
Yes, we can use a free Google site to do it. For example, the site that I'm using presently is not a paid site. This is something that I use just for practice. So I've used some samples of our games over here. So what I'm going to do is just going to embed the code here. So I'm going to click on embed
Okay.
and I'm going to paste the code that I copied from ChatGPT over here.
No, this
Sorry,
would be in, yeah, embed code. Yeah.
embed. So, and that is what is going to display as. So I can go over to preview and it's going to show me the game. This is a game I previously created. It's about a ship sailing onto the seas. It's going to face sharks and brains and other dangers. This is also a game I created yesterday. It's called Tooth Jump. It's for, community awareness for children. to teach them to avoid sugary snacks and to eat healthy foods. I'm going to show you how to play it. I'm also going to show you how I created it, and if you want to modify it, how you may do it. This is a sample of the hangman game that we just created. But instead of having to guess the muscles or bones, we're asking MCQs here. So if a student selects the correct MCQ, the hangman lives. If a student selects a wrong option, the hangman dies. This is a version of the ECG simulator that I showed you earlier. And this is also a version of the ship game. And this is the hangman game. Again, if you select a correct option, it shows you the other MCQ. And if you select all three correct, there's a small animation of the hangman going free. So it's all up to you, your vibes and your creativity, what you want to deploy, what you want to do. You just have to ask ChatGPT to code it for you, and it's going to write it for you, and then you can paste it onto any free Google site. If you do own a domain, and if you are running a site, you can do that over there as well. For example, this is a site that I run. It's called Unlimited LMS, and I deployed the Hangman game over there. So you can see it seamlessly over there. So it can be deployed in paid environments and in free environments such as Google Sites as well for you to test, for you to preview, and for you to, practice and make it perfect before you deploy it onto a paid domain. So I think there are some questions in the chat. Okay,
Munib,
Dr.
Dr. Mona's asking what is
What is the name
the
of the
name of
website
the
you use to
site?
publish
Yeah.
these keys? Dr. Mona, I'm presently using a free version of Google Sites. That's what I'm using. I'm going to show it to you. This is just Google Sites that I'm using. It's free. It's available for everyone. This is just a sample page that I created. You can create a new website and then you can deploy it there. You just have to click on embed and then you have to paste your code over here. So I just pasted the code over there, you know, and then I just click on insert. I adjust the dimensions and then I go to preview. And there it is, the medical hangman in which we can guess the names of the letters. I enter any letter and it tells me whether or not the guess is correct or not. So it all depends on what you want to do, how creative you can be, and what purpose you want that code to serve. So Dr. Komal has an activity for you all wherein you will all be required to write a piece of code in ChatGPT. It's just going to give it a prompt. It's going to write a code for you, and then you can deploy it onto Google Sites and show us how you're doing. And if you encounter any problems in the process, we can always help you. So Dr. Komal, would you like to explain the activity to?
Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first, Munib, you can ask Dr. Najia's question, how to share
Okay.
this URL with others.
How to share this new URL with others? You can just click on share. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to publish your site and then just click on share. And even when you haven't yet published it, you can share it with others via a link that it is going to generate for you. If you have a domain that you've bought and you own, you can share it, using the link of that particular website.
Yes. Replit pretty much itself generates the whole website. So if you've made a website by Replit, you may put the games on it, but I would recommend making games in Replit itself for that. It would be easier. Okay, so moving towards the activity, basically what we want is just to see at a very basic level how you've actually picked up on what we were trying to teach. So we're going to divide everybody into breakout rooms. In the breakout rooms, the only task that you will be required to do is discuss any prompt that comes to your mind. And like Munib told you about ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT to generate a very basic game or some sort of an idea and put it on a Google site. Alternatively, some of you can use ChatGPT and some of you can use Replit to generate a very basic idea. So both of the websites are very similar, simple. ChatGPT is chatgpt.com, Replit is replit.com. I will divide the whole batch into random breakout rooms, and I'll let you know which breakout rooms will do Replit and which will do ChatGPT. So we have 36 participants. We're going to make 6 breakout rooms. The first three, that is breakout room 1, 2, 3, will be doing ChatGPT, and breakout room 4, 5, 6 will be doing Replit. And you have the next 15 minutes for this. You should be able to make a very strong, very basic code. I'm opening the rooms. So again, I'm going to repeat room 1, 2, 3 are going to be doing ChatGPT. Room 4, 5, 6 will be doing Replit. And we will be roaming around in the rooms in case you need any sort of help. I think they started joining the rooms. Yes. Okay.
Yes, they're all heading to their rooms.
A few people have not joined. So I'd request those of you who have not joined the rooms, please go into your respective rooms. Thank you. Room 6 has only 2 people.
Dr.
I can
Ibrahim
move
just
someone.
joined. Assign him to room 6
Yes, I think.
or to room
Can
4.
you
I
move
think
the
fewer people in room 4.
room 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4 people already, and there's Dr. Sara there. That's 5 people basically if we count Dr. Sara. Room 6 has only 2 people. The others aren't joining, and now there's only one person. We need to move somebody to room 6. At least there should be 3 people, I think.
Let's move Amara.
Amara from room 2?
Yes, from room 4.
From room 4. Okay. Or do we let them continue the way they are? Because I think they started working now. There are 3 people in rooms. Okay, you moved Amara side. There's someone in the waiting room also. So we call them back at like 3:55 or something, 5 minutes before 4 o'clock.
That would be perfect.
Hmm. अच्छा, I have a question. अगर हमारे पास Google Sites है पेड अकाउंट पे,
Hmm.
तो फिर हम उसको किस तरह से कैन वी लॉन्च लाइक अपनी वर्कस्पेस वाली डोमेन लॉन्च कर सकते हैं?
वर्कस्पेस वाली भी कर सकते हैं. गूगल साइट्स अपनी खुद भी डोमेन्स देता है. यू कैन बाय इट एंड देन यू कैन लॉन्च इट ओवर देयर.
I think it offers the workspace domain as part of the package.
It
नहीं?
does, yes.
So that's like easier to use.
It's much easier to use,
बाकियों
and
को
people और उन लोगों को जिनको ज्यादा वो चाहिए ना कंट्रोल ओवर व्हाट इज हैपनिंग ऑन दिस साइट,
हम्म।
दे कैन टेक दिस रूट ऑफ यूजिंग गूगल साइट्स एंड चैट जीपीटी रेपलेट। ज्यादा ऑटोमेटिसिटी जो है ना वो ऑफर करता है, मतलब आपको बहुत चीजें वो खुद ही कर दे
हाँ
देता है। एंड देन इफ यू वांट टू गो ओवर एंड डू सम माइनर
वो
चेंजेस तो आपको बार प्रॉम्प्टिंग करनी पड़ेगी, थोड़ा सा वो हेलुसिनेट करेगा, लेकिन यू विल हैव टू
करनी
गो ओवर
पड़ती
द
है,
एंटायर प्रोसेस
और
अगेन
उसके
जस्ट फॉर
चार्जेस
स्मॉलर।
भी थोड़े से ज्यादा हैं। हाँ।
यस, इसमें ये होगा कि इट ऑफर्स
हाँ।
कंट्रोल। वहां पे साइट के ऊपर आप अपनी मर्जी से हर
हम्म।
एलिमेंट को एम्बेड करवा लो, या चाहो तो पूरा पेज ही एम्बेड कर दो ना एक क्रिएट करके। एंड इफ यू वांट अ माइनर चेंज तो आपको स्पेसिफिक उसी पेज को चेंज करना होगा, स्पेसिफिक उसी पेज के उसी पैराग्राफ के अंदर जाकर आप चेंजेस कर सकते हो खुद ही।
हाँ बट रेप्लिक का ये है कि इफ यू गेट द प्रॉम्प्टिंग राइट इट्स एक्चुअली वेरी, इट्स फन। लेकिन यस
एग्जैक्ट।
उसमें हेलुसिनेशन के चांसेस ज्यादा हैं क्योंकि आपका कंट्रोल कम है।
हम्म।
वो एक इशू है। जिस तरह जो हमारा क्वेश्चन बैंक वाला है ना, उसमें ये प्रॉब्लम आता है कि डेटा बहुत जल्दी खत्म हो जाता
ओह यस, लोग एमसीक्यूज अपलोड करते होंगे और वो यूजर को जाता होगा।
है। हाँ।
अगर आप गूगल साइट से अपनी साइट लोगे तो वो फिर आप को 1 टेराबाइट दे देता है ना साथ में, तो दैट्स अ लॉट ऑफ डेटा। आप वहाँ पे से स्टोर कर सकते हो, ऑटोमेटिकली उसकी ड्राइव में जाता रहेगा और वहाँ से आप फोल्डर्स बनाकर उसे आगे
और
भेज
वो
सकते हो।
करता रहेगा। हाँ।
हम्म।
हाँ गूगल साइट्स है सर। गूगल इज डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ, गूगल का पूरा ही एआई बहुत अच्छा है।
पूरा अच्छा है, जेमिनाई इज वन
हैविंग
ऑफ
वी। हाँ।
मॉडल्स आर कोडिंग, लेकिन अगेन 5600 पर मंथ आई थिंक उसकी प्राइस है
फॉर कोडिंग।
फॉर द जेमिनाई, द असिस्टेंट एंड एवरीथिंग इंक्लूडेड, मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन है ना।
हम्म। I do have the monthly subscription. I think I pay 5, हाँ इतना ही है।
हाँ, उसका जो है ना ये 2.5 प्रो जो है, दैट्स द बेस्ट एट कोडिंग। मैंने कंपेयर भी किया, यू राइट अ सेम प्रॉम्प्ट इन चैटजीपीटी एंड कॉपी एंड पेस्ट द
उसमें
एग्जैक्ट सेम प्रॉम्प्ट इन जेमिनाई।
लिक्विड स्टूडियो
जेमिनाई
वगैरह
इट
भी बहुत अच्छी है।
फास्टर एंड उसका सीएसएस भी बेहतर होता है, वो ज़्यादा बेहतर कलर्स एंड ज़्यादा
हम्म।
ऑटोमेशन और वो ज़्यादा इंटरैक्टिव किस्म का गेम बना कर देता है आपको।
अच्छा, आई विल ट्राई दैट। ऑल राइट, सो डॉक्टर सारा ने पूछा है कि हाउ डू यू गिव एक्सेस टू फैकल्टी टू ऐड क्वेश्चंस। सो मैम देयर इज
हम्म।
अ, वो मैंने आपको दिखाया था ना रजिस्ट्रेशन वाला पेज, एवरीबडी हैज टू रजिस्टर। और जो हम डीएमई में है ना, वी आर एडमिन्स, हम में से 2 लोग के पास एडमिन एक्सेस है। तो उसको डिवीजन की हुई है कि यू हैव टू रजिस्टर इन योर ओन पर्टिकुलर फैकल्टी पेज। जैसे एनाटॉमी वाले एनाटॉमी में रजिस्टर करते हैं, फिजियो वाले फिजियो में रजिस्टर करते हैं। एंड देन वी गिव देम एक्सेस विद द यूजर नेम एंड पासवर्ड। वो जो अपना यूजर नेम एंड पासवर्ड ऐड करते हैं ऐप पे, तो वो वहां पर आ जाते हैं एंड दे गेट एक्सेस टू द क्वेश्चंस। और उसमें सेटिंग्स कुछ ऐसी हैं कि दे कैन नॉट लुक एट अदर पीपल्स एंट्रीज, लाइक एनाटॉमी वाले फिजियो में नहीं घुस सकते, फिजियो वाले बायोकेम में नहीं जा सकते अनलेस द एडमिन अलाउंस। एडमिन सारे देख सकता है पर दे कैन नॉट।
हम्म।
लेकिन उसमें हमें यही चैलेंज आ रहा है फिलहाल कि इट्स रियली नाइस बट वी हैड टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट इट टू पीजी ट्रेनीज फॉर नाउ। क्योंकि अगेन उसकी प्राइस और उसकी बीच में जो ग्लिचिंग आ रही थी ना वो थोड़ी सी ज्यादा, मतलब एनाटॉमी फिजियो वालों ने क्वेश्चन बैंक्स बनाए हैं बट दे नॉट शोइंग, उसमें टेस्टिंग ऑनलाइन वो नहीं कर रहे, स्टूडेंट्स को नहीं डाल रहे वो, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज्यादा डाटा यूजेज शुरू हो जाती
मैंने अभी एक सैम्पल प्रपोजल देखा था जिसके अंदर ओजेएस को वो यूज कर रहे थे एज अ क्वेश्चन बैंक। मतलब जो ओजेएस की इन्वायरमेंट है ना, जर्नल रिव्यू और वो सारी,
हम्म।
उसी को उन्होंने रीपर्पस किया हुआ था फॉर सबमिशंस ऑफ एमसीक्यूज। और उन्होंने वो बैक एंड के ऊपर डाली हुई थी अपनी इस तरह से प्रोग्रामिंग कि वो अलग अलग फोल्डर्स में सेव हो जाता था, वहाँ पे फिर सबको रिव्यू के लिए जाते थे रिव्यूअर्स को। फॉर एग्जांपल लेक्चरर्स वर अपलोडिंग देयर एमसीक्यूज, देयर हेड्स ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट वर रिव्यूइंग देम, एंड देन फाइनली उसको फिर वो फॉरवर्ड करते थे आगे। तो दैट्स आल्सो वहाँ पे ये कि वो फ्री भी था।
हाँ ओजीएस इज अ गुड ऑप्शन एंड Moodle is a very good option for question bank.
Yes.
Moodle does बहुत अच्छे क्वेश्चन बैंक्स बन जाते हैं।
बस ये कि रेपलेट में आप फिर वो ज़्यादा उसमें एआई इंटरफेस भी ऐड हो सकता है, वो खुद ही उनको वेट भी कर
हाँ
सकता है, रिव्यू भी कर सकता है, वो
हाँ,
करेक्टर्स
वो
भी
वाले
भेज सकता
बेनिफिट्स हैं कि वो चीज़ों को खुद ही ना वो करता जाता है, रिव्यू भी कर देता है उनको, काफी वो बना देता है, स्ट्रीमलाइन कर देता है। फिर उसमें ये ऑप्शंस हैं कि वो खुद ही से उसको प्रिंट भी ले लेता है उसका। क्या मुनीत, मैं ये देख रही हूँ जेमिनाई वाला जो प्लान है,
है।
इट्स 2800 फॉर द फर्स्ट 2 months and it's 5600 for every month after, so it's on top of the Google
हाँ,
One
वो फिफ्टी
plan
परसेंट
because I
ऑफ
had the
आया हुआ है।
Google One plan.
गूगल वन में तो आपको जेमिनाई की फ्री एक्सेस मिलती है ना, यू डोंट हैव टू बाय इट
नहीं
सेपरेटली।
लेकिन उसके, नहीं नहीं, मैं बताती हूँ, ये कह रहे हैं कि जेमिनाई प्रो जो है ना,
हम्म।
दैट्स नॉट फ्री। जो 2.5 प्रो है, 2.5
हम्म।
फ्लैश तो है मेरे पास, 2.5 प्रो, अच्छा नहीं, इट इज फ्री, मैं क्या कर रही हूँ
तो वन के अंदर इंक्लूडेड होगा।
इसमें। नहीं, इसमें क्यों लिखा आ रहा है कि, हाँ इट इज इंक्लूडेड, यू राइट, सीम्स टू बी
इंक्लूडेड है
वर्किंग।
ना।
पर
और
ये
बहुत
अपग्रेड
अच्छी
वाला
बात
ऑप्शन क्यों,
है।
अपग्रेड क्यों आ रहा है फिर?
वो
इट्स
आता है
स्टोरेज एंड
ऑप्शन,
अपग्रेड
वो आता
ऑप्शन।
रहता है। बिकॉज यू नॉट डायरेक्टली सब्सक्राइब्ड टू जेमिनाई ना, आप गूगल वन के थ्रू यूज कर रहे हो। या फिर वो चेक कर लो
हाँ,
कि आपने जो जिस आईडी से लॉग्ड इन हो वही आपकी गूगल वन वाली आईडी है ना, जीमेल वन वाली आईडी है ना।
वही है वही, इट्स द सेम, लेकिन वो यही है कि मैं देख रही थी कि वो चल रहा है, पर वो साइड पे लिखा आ रहा है कि अपग्रेड।
और चैट
इसलिए
जीपीटी के
मैं
अंदर एक और भी है, आई एम गोइंग टू शो यू।
सोरा वाली चीज पे।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, कोडेक्स, आई एम गोइंग टू शो यू।
यस यस यस, कोडेक्स आई वाज लुकिंग एट यस्टरडे।
हाँ ना, अच्छा है ना।
ओके, शुड आई इनके बंद कर दूं ब्रेकआउट रूम्स? आई थिंक वी शुड कॉल देम बैक।
हाँ, आई थिंक वी कैन कॉल देम बैक, बंद कर देते हैं।
लेट्स सी वन और टू एग्जांपल्स बिकॉज़ विल गो मच ओवर टाइम देन। एक रेपलेट की देख लेते हैं और एक चैट
चैट
जीपीटी की देख
जीपीटी की।
लेते हैं। हाँ, क्योंकि वो टाइम बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है, लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर आस्किंग दैट ऐसे। ये वापस क्यों नहीं आए सब?
एवरीवन's बैक नाउ।
यस, ओके, वेलकम बैक एवरीवन। So I hope some of you managed to do something in this short amount of time. We will take one example of ChatGPT and one example from the Replit groups. So whoever volunteers, please. किसी ने कुछ भी नहीं किया? You can't unmute.
हाँ डॉक्टर, मेरा मैं
Okay, wait.
देखता
I've
हूँ।
asked all to.
So hello.
Please
So
see if you.
we were group one, and we were supposed to do it through Chat GPT. So we tried to create a crossword, a puzzle, and a hangman. So what we felt that we need to have a pretty complete prompt for it to actually work. So the hangman worked, but there was no way to play it again. So I can share my screen to show it.
We were
I hope
actually
I'm
struggling with the prompts. That one time we gave the prompt and it didn't work. Then again we gave the prompt that we need more detail, and like then we realized in the end that hangman it just was just one time. We can't move further because it was one time. We need to give more prompt that it can the player can try twice or thrice.
Again and again. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
meanwhile, I also
wonderful.
want to ask, like, is it necessary to convert the prompts into JavaScript and then feed it to Google, or are there any sites they are taking prompt like Notebook LM and anything else like that? Can they take the prompt directly?
You
So
can embed the prompt, I think.
So basically, what the problem is that though the large language model can understand natural language, but the websites or the environments where we want to deploy our code is going to use language over there. So you have to talk to that particular site or that deployment environment in HTML or Java or CSS. That is only when it's going to be able to be deployed.
Yes. So basically, for all Google-based or website-based programs, you will have to program ideally in these three. And what Dr. Suleiman and Dr. Sumaira said, you do have access to sharing. Dr. Sumaira, you can share your screen if you want. Like I told you in the beginning, that the first thing you need to do is have a very clear prompt, which includes that you have to write whether you're going to repeat the game, you want it to be a one-time game, a person can have more than one chances. So that is one thing that you have to add in the code. So Dr. Sumaira, you will have the option of screen sharing enabled. अगर आप करना चाहें, so you can share. Yeah.
Another advice that I'd like to give to Dr. Suleiman and Dr. Sumaira is that there are libraries available online with HTML and CSS and Java games and applications. So you can copy the code from there, add it to
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and then ask it to adapt it to your particular, your needs.
Okay,
So
very
it's going to have
nice.
a lot
So
of the back. That's wonderful.
they've made a perfect hangman. और
There
पूरा
is a
गलत
problem.
किया है.
There is a problem because we need to give the prompt that there should be a hint to answer this. Otherwise, just guessing with the alphabet, it might not work.
Exactly. So
ठीक
in the
है. So
example I showed
basically,
you, there were
that's
hints available.
हाँ. So that's the thing that you can just you understand while using it. कि आपने prompt में hints भी डालने हैं. You need to do all of that. Munib, Dr. Sara wants you to repeat what you just said.
Uh, which part, basically? There's a lot I was saying.
Oh, okay. I think we're about the
Dr.
Java
Munib, the
library.
part about the Java library
हाँ, the Java library में
about
उसके बारे में ये कह रहा था that on the internet you can find lots of code libraries which are available for HTML, for CSS, and for Java. You can just go over to Google, type in free libraries for HTML, Java, and CSS applications, games, softwares, whichever you want to use. And there's going to be libraries there for you where you can download the open source codes. And once you have that code, you can paste it onto ChatGPT and then ask it to adapt it to your needs. For example, the Hangman game that I showed you wasn't really, constructed for medical sciences. I went over to a website, I copied the code of the game, I pasted it onto ChatGPT and asked it to adapt it to medical sciences. So instead of giving random words, I asked it to give words relevant to bones and muscles and make it relevant to anatomy. I asked it to include hints so that people may easily be able to reach at the guessed word. Also, the start and the end screens were a bit childish earlier, so I asked them to modify it. So these are the things that you can do. Basic code you can extract from any library, and then you can make the changes as you go along in ChatGPT.
Dr. Mona, most of the libraries are the open source libraries. Mostly they are scanned for viruses. They usually don't have trojans or viruses, but don't go and download it from torrent or from any bit source because those are more places where you're likely to get viruses. Uh,
And and you won't be deploying those codes directly onto your websites or your sites. You're going
yeah.
to only paste it into ChatGPT. So even if there is a virus or malware present in that code, it's going to detect it and remove it.
Okay, so Dr. Najia, your link is not working. I think you haven't shared it properly. maybe sharing is disabled. Um, you can open it with a screen share. And Dr. Azaz has also shown something. Oh, okay, this is the this is the feedback form. All right, everybody, this is the most important part of the meeting. So please fill the feedback form. It's very important for us to learn about how we can improve. And obviously, it's important for the team also. We would appreciate if you can do that. Anyone else who has worked on Replit? I understand Replit is slower to function.
Dr. Mona's group was using Replit, group 5.
Dr. Mona, do you want to share your screen and show
Yes,
us what you are doing?
yes, I will try to do that in a minute. Can you see my screen now?
Not as yet. It starts. Yes, we
We
can.
can.
Okay, so this is the prompt. First of all, it took us a lot of time. It took me a lot of time to sign up for Replit because of my internet connection. So I'm using a mobile hotspot now, and this is the prompt we used. Please record the arterial blood pressure of a patient for 7 days and find out the day-night variability of the blood pressure to better adjust the medications given to that patient. All right, and this is the reply. And this is the coding, I suppose.
Okay.
Can you see my
Yeah.
cursor? Yes, and this is the outcome.
Yes.
All right. I tried to put in some measurements, and
Yes.
this is how it looks
So
like.
you're adding measurements here also.
Yep.
This is very nice. For a first time, I think this is very well done. And you may have understood that you could have used a lot of ways to modify the prompt, and it might be asking you questions also, like it is that
Yes, but we didn't. We kept it very basic because it took a lot of time to actually start the
the
website
process.
or the process. Yes.
Yeah, I understand because we gave you a very limited amount of time. And
Yes.
because Replit will take more time because ChatGPT is basically just generating the code for you and you deploy it somewhere else. But Replit creates the whole backend. So once you deploy on Replit, you create the whole app and the whole website. It creates the whole thing. It's more automated.
Yes.
And that's what me and Dr. Munib were also discussing while you were all in the breakout rooms, that the benefit of using Google Sites and ChatGPT is that it will take you a bit more effort to create the every single page because ChatGPT will you will have to prompt for every page separately. So it will give a little bit more, you will need a little bit more effort, but you will be able to edit it again in the same way with every single page. With Replit, you will have less control. It's more AI generated, it's more automated, and you cannot edit every single page separately. So you have to come back to the agent and ask it to identify that place and then edit it.
So if you want more automation, you can opt for Replit. And if you want more control, you can use ChatGPT and Google Sites.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, Amara is saying deploy option is not available on the free version. Yes, I think it's not, but the free version does have some options, a limited amount of data that you can share with other people or some sort of a link.
And is it possible to save the what I have created on Replit?
I think it automatically saves whatever you have made. So
Uh,
you will be able to see it.
okay.
Okay, Dr. Sara is asking a question that um, I will be in Lahore for my summer vacations from next week, so I don't have an issue. Munib is far away, so
I will be nearby at the end in the end weeks of July. So if you can arrange something during that time, we'd be happy to offer a more hands-on and live experience.
so with that, because we've taken a bit more time, and I understand that some of you have missed food in this process. So we would love for any questions and any sort of feedback. We're very grateful that all of you tried the two main apps that we showed you. We're very grateful to Dr. Sara for her love and her hospitality, Dr. Azaz for helping us. And it's wonderful to see you, Munib, virtually also. It's been a long time and we need to work more together. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Komal. Thank you, everyone. And just a little message for you all. You're going to get better with practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to get at coding. The better vibes you have, the better result you're going to achieve.
Thank you so much, Dr. Komal and Dr. Munif, for this wonderful session. I think we all learned a lot today, and we'll definitely uh, use it in our everyday life. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. And with this, we conclude our session. And everyone, please kindly fill that feedback form. The link is in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Azaz, and I'd appreciate if you could share a relevant feedback with us also, if that is possible, and under the
Sure,
podcast.
ma'am. Sure, sure,
Thank
sure, ma'am.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Good evening.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.